Hey, welcome back. So I'm still waiting to get the hull grip blasted, which I was hoping would have happened pretty soon. And that's sort of the first thing in the process that we're waiting for. So everything's sort of being held up because of that. But hopefully that will happen next week, and I'll be able to show you some footage of that when it happens. So in terms of what I can do today, last week I sort of took out the base of the nav table so I could get to the bottom of the hull where that delamination has occurred. So I'd like to sort of finish preparing that by removing all the cabling that's going across that. So if I can lift that cable up and away, then that there's plenty of room to work on that patch. And then I can start grinding that back. But before I do that, I need to spend a bit of time preparing the inside of the hull with some plastic sheeting. Using a grinder on GRP, you get a lot of dust. Just the few jobs I've done already using the multi-tool, I've noticed that it really goes everywhere, and from what I've read or seen other people doing, it's advisable to just cover everything up. So I have some plastic sheeting which I can use to sort of seal up this cabin. So I'm planning on basically sticking it up to the cabin rooftop, and then covering over all the shelves and probably partitioning off the forward cabin there, and over the nav table in the back, so that when I start doing some grinding, also I need to get an extractor probably over the main hatch here, I guess, and then that'll create a better environment for making a mess, which is what will happen as soon as I get the grinder out. So hopefully today I can just get that preparation done for the nav table, and then start putting all the sheeting up and getting that ready. And then hopefully next video will be the grip blasting on the hull. And once that's done, the boat can then be moved undercover, and we can do the rest of the preparation and then the GRP repairs for the hull. Okay, let's see how we go today. Well, it looks like there's going to be a change in plan for today, which tends to happen a fair bit. You come into work on one thing and then you see something else, and you kind of start jumping all over the place, which isn't great, but I do think I need to do this now. So this is the starboard side settee. There's a water maker there. Not sure the condition of it or if it works still. There's a fair bit of corrosion on this. But yeah, that's not the main focus of this. What I've noticed here is so this is the old oil residue problem that's everywhere, and on this side, which is the starboard side, there's the same problem with the tabbing over the sole bearers that's come off, so it's lost its sort of bonding and strength. This middle one looks like it as well, but you can't really get to it. And this one back here, I can't see it all, so I think I probably need to remove all of this so I could get back to the sole underneath it, so I can get to those tabbing ends of the sole bearers. So I guess really it's just a case of working from the bottom up. And with all this cabling here, we've got some water pipe, some instrument cables. So it's like a 240 volt line. And I reckon probably the best thing to do is just to cut it all up and then just throw it out. There's nothing here that I want to use. And in terms of like keeping the cables intact, so I can run a multimeter around and trace everything. I think I'll just cut this middle section out. I'm not going to use any of this. Cut this all out, then I can get down to here to clean it properly, remove the water maker, and then I'll have access to these bearers. Because ultimately, once I get ready to do some work in here, once I've got all the plastic sheeting up, I just want to do everything in one go. So really, this whole cell needs to be exposed and accessible, so I can just do all the tabbing of the bearers as I do this wall as well. Actually, before I go cutting away all of these lines, I probably should just make a note of where all the water cables go, at least, or the water pipes, because there's quite a few of them here. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 water lines. Obviously, hot and cold for the head, water maker, salt water in, salt water out, fresh water out. So that's 3. So that leaves 1 more water line, which I'm not sure what it might do. So let me just try and trace these out first before I cut them up. Because I was just going to cut them from this end and then cut them from the other end and just pull them out so they're out of that channel there to open that up. Okay, so back here, this is the bilge. We've got a through hole here, and that splits into 2 pipes. There's 2 pipes there. One goes under there. The other one is going around here. Okay, so that goes all the way through into there and up. Okay, so that looks like it's coming up around there from the sink. So there's the main sink outlet, goes down through a seacock there. What does this side one do, I wonder? Maybe it's a vent. Oh, I need to get a light. Right, so I've worked out what most of these, what all of these water pipes do now. Starting from the bilge, there's on the right hand side, down there, there's an intake with a seacock and through hole. Looks like it's 1/2 inch pipe. So that then splits off into 2 lines. So one line comes up here, and it goes into a T-junction, and one of those T-junctions goes to the foot pump. So that's obviously a salt water pump, which I think is that one in the middle there. But back here it splits into 2. There's a T-junction, and one of those lines comes back down here, and there's actually the salt water in for the water maker, which is mounted back here. The second line of that split down here runs all the way back and goes into the heads, and so that's another salt water pump, the manual pump for the basin there. So basically we've got 1 through hole seacock, splits into 2, and then in here it splits into 2 again. So essentially we've got 3 lines being serviced by 2, well actually by 1. So it's 1 seacock through hole that goes into 3 lines there. The other thing I found was there's a line that feeds into the sink drain, which just basically goes down through the main drain through hole there. Now that's the pump out for the water maker. So to dump the saltwater output, it goes back through here, one of those lines, and up and into that sink. So basically that's what all our lines are. We've got a hot water for the heads, we've got a cold water for the heads, we've got salt water for the heads, we've got salt water in, salt water out, fresh water out for the water maker. And so that should be our 6 lines, 6 water pipes, I think. Let me check that. Okay, I just double checked that because there's actually 7 and I could only name 6. There's actually 4 that goes into this water maker, and one of these lines goes through here, up under the sink, round here, into a T, and just ends as an open pipe. So typical for what I found on this boat, it's just systems that are sort of cut off or go nowhere. So I'm not really sure what that is. I thought there was only 3 lines to water maker, but I guess I need to have a really good look at this and work out what that 4th line does. But to be honest, I don't really want to do that at the moment. The only thing I want to do is lift up all these old water pipes and electric cables, clear out all the gunk, so that I can clean it up and start repairing that stringer there, or get the whole interior ready to be ground back for where fiberglassing needs to be done. So yeah, I've got to do these things in order, otherwise it just gets a bit crazy. Okay, so now I know what the water lines do at least. I can now just cut them out and remove them to make some room here. I kind of realised that I need to do all this before I can start any of the GRP repairs inside the shell, because basically there's that floor bearer there, that tabbing has come out, so that needs to be done, and I couldn't really get to it or clean it up with all the cabling in the way, so I removed all the cabling, which I was going to do anyway. I was going to rewire everything, but I really didn't want to have to start that yet. And the more you look, the more you see. I noticed another sort of tabbing coming off there. There's one crack down there. Don't know if you can see that. So there's still more work to be done up this end as well, although in general it's a lot better than the port side. So what have I done? I've removed all the cabling here and all the water pipes, so that I can clean this up next time. It's a bit of a mess. And there's all the cabling. And it's just every sort of piece is covered in this thick paste, and you know, you touch anything with that and it leaves an oily mark behind. So I'll throw all this out except for the very, very high amperage cable that was connected to the bow thruster. This is really, really thick, so I might see if I can reuse this for at least the main battery cabling when I set that up. So I think I'll wipe down this one and try and keep this, and I'll just throw everything else out.